I grow weary of Mistalin, having slain every beast from the goblins which roam across the river Lum to the great dragon Elvarg, terror of Crandor. I've become a champion of these provinces, endowed by Oziak with the privilege of wearing the prestigious rune plate body. I didst equip it for a season, but as my experience and wealth continued to grow, it has since been retired. A relic of the past which hath ceased to kindle the old sense of pride and achievement that it once did. I have outgrown this world. Yea, I hear tale of legends of vast lands beyond the great wall of Asgarnia, where powerful beasts lurk, seeking to devour bright-eyed young adventurers in search of glory and coin. Alas, poverty of the fourth dimension has long prevented my access to these mysterious and magical realms. I long for the opportunity to once again experience the thrill of mortal combat with a worthy foe. What if there really is a whole world beyond those iron gates? What if Gielinor really is as big as they claim?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Jazz here. You might be wondering why a maxed in-game player is here mining these dumb purple rocks in an early game area that most players skip without ever engaging with. Well, the answer? Boredom. Well, it's a little more than that. After conquering the most difficult challenges in RuneScape, I still have the itch to push myself further, creating my own unique challenges just to see what was actually possible. So a short time ago, I was doing a budget Leviathan kill, just to see how little gear I could get away with. I went in with a budget of 25,000 GP and killed it in less than 3 minutes using less than half the supplies I brought in. It really didn't feel that impressive. Then I had another idea. If you're watching this video, I assume that you're aware that RuneScape is divided into two types of accounts. Those who play for free, free to play, and those who pay a monthly subscription for extra features. And let me tell you, that list of extra features is immense. This series is the fantasy of an absolutely in-game free-to-play player who somehow managed to unlock the members-only areas of Gielinor without any access to members' gear and supplies. Golden Boy has a thirst for adventure and a burning desire to slay powerful monsters. But how many of these are even possible for an account whose best-in-slot items include a rune scimitar and leather boots? Truth be told, I don't know yet. So while I'm here AFKing for the third day in a row trying to get pieces of this blasted Baronite mace, I hope you enjoy the first episode of this series. Alright, so for our first boss, we're going to be taking on the Barrows Brothers. Here's the setup. Standard Staff of Air. I'm going to be using Wind Blast. It's the highest level free-to-play available spell. I'm really just worried about prayer for Aram and Carol here. Not a great start. So let's talk ground rules for this series. Clearly I'm using my main account role-playing as this free-to-play jailbreaker. Obviously I will have access to members' worlds, and member skills or items only when they're necessary to access the boss, or sometimes teleports to the boss when they don't change the encounter in any meaningful way. I am not, however, allowing myself access to members' equipment or supplies, the latter of which is what really makes this particular challenge difficult. Alright, 78 prayer points left, not bad. You know, I think I can tank a few hits from Aram, like this is going to be fine. I don't need prayer for the other brothers. I've developed a ranking system for each of the bosses that I will be killing. A ranking of 1 means that the encounter is not significantly changed from what it would be in a member's setup. A ranking of 5 means it's probably not possible without making exceptions to my rule set. I'm also allowing supplies that come from within an encounter, such as the chest at Tob, or the helpful spirit at Tombs of the Masket. The first boss that I've decided to take on, the Barrows Brothers, have a ranking of 1 because the way that I'm killing them doesn't differ that much from the way most people would do this in a mid-game Iron Man. I'm using Wind Blast because the Barrows Brothers have been given a air weakness, and I've decided to kill the 2 most dangerous ones first before my prayer points run out. Aram and Carol can both hit you from range and do a significant amount of damage that I might not be able to out-eat, so I've just decided to kill those 2 first while I still have my prayer points, and then once the mechanics of the crypts drain the rest of my prayer, I can simply kite the other brothers around the room while taking very little, if any, damage if I do it correctly. The tiles that you see in this room are from when I was playing an early game hardcore Iron Man without ready access to prayer potions. I wanted to get some Barrows armor, so I started using this method. Obviously you're seeing some hit splats on my character, which means I am not doing it correctly. I am a little rusty here, but it's not going to be a problem. Bro's got hands, like what? Time for our second boss, the Giant Mole. Another rank 1 boss. Maybe I shouldn't call it rank 1. That makes it sound like it's difficult. Another low bottom tier boss? Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, another bottom tier boss that I'm going to be fighting just using the supplies I had left over after Barrows, because I'm really not concerned about this one. If Barrows used a technique we can call kiting, which is keeping space in between yourself and melee NPCs where you can still attack them from ranged but they cannot attack you, then in this kill at the Giant Mole we're going to be utilizing what's called a corner safe spot. This is very highly utilized in high level content such as Inferno, but basically because of the way that the NPC's southwest tile lines up, it confuses it into thinking that it's in range, but it still can't attack you because you're standing at the diagonal. You can see the way I can position the mole on the wall here to attack it, but it can't attack me. Pop quiz. There are at least 2 things in this clip that are going on right now that have completely ruined the series already. Let's take a moment and see if you can guess what they are. If you said, "Hey Jazz, why didn't it get dark when you got hit with that mud?" then you would be correct on the first account. I actually have the Fire of Eternal Light lit down here, which is a reward from the quest Making Friends with My Arm. Because I can't go back and undo that at this point in my account, I don't need a candle and a tinderbox like many accounts would need down here. We're just going to have to ignore that fact. The second one, a little bit bigger, you might have noticed that I've been flicking the prayer Augury, which is certainly not available in free to play. That's a rare reward for the Chambers of Xeric. Fortunately, I do realize that pretty soon into this and start using Mystic Lore, and we'll continue to use Mystic Lore for the rest of the series. Let's talk a little bit about what items I have available to me. You're right now seeing me purchase the first of 3 potions that are going to be available in free to play. That is the anti-poison potion. The other 2 potions that are available include the standard strength potion as well as the energy potion. These are 2 potions that you would probably never use on a main account. Take a lot of damage. Sounds fun. Here's an example of where I'm going to need a member's item to reach the next boss. The Deranged Archaeologist is located at the end of this swamp, and to get there you need a rake, which is a member's item. You also need an axe, which I have conveniently forgotten. Okay, why do I have the men set to auto pickpocket and the women set to attack? Hello again, Tar Monster. I have my axe this time. Besides being home to 2 of the most banger music tracks in the whole game, Fossil Island is also the home of our next boss, the Deranged Archaeologist. A very simple boss that you typically just kill with magic, and you've got to move every time he uses his Learn to Read special attack. I didn't even know where this prayer was, so I turned off my range spray, trying to find the magic boosting prayer that's available for free to play. The next technique we need to talk about is called prayer flicking. Now, I know you've seen RuneScape videos before, I really don't need to explain how this works, but there's 2 different types of prayer flicking. What I'm doing right now is called lazy flicking, where you just turn the prayer on for the tick that it's needed. But this only works if you don't need the prayer on every tick and you know exactly what tick you're going to need it on. You'll see how that becomes a problem later. As I purchase my best in slot boosting potion, let's talk a little bit about our best in slot gear. You'll see here that I'm decked out in this golden armor, which is a very expensive equivalent to rune armor. It's called Gilded, and it is available in free to play, even though you have to get it from members only clue scrolls. The cape and the shoes are also clue items that boast no stats, but offer improvements to the fashion scape. My offhand is the muleta available from the new boss Brutus, which actually is one of the unique drops that you can get in free to play. It's about the equivalent to a steel defender, which sounds like nothing to a member, but in free to play, it actually is a huge upgrade. The gilded vambraces that I'm wearing don't offer any offensive stats, but are technically best in slot for defensive, both for ranged attack style and for melee attack style. There are gilded boots, and there is also a gilded coif, but neither of these items are free to play. I don't know why, but that's the one piece of the set that they don't allow free players to wear. My best in slot food are these anchovy pizzas. You'll have seen me in previous clips bringing swordfish and pizzas because I read somewhere that the pizza counts as a fast food, which made me think that it was going to work similar to a karambuan. It actually doesn't. What that means is that the first bite that you take, you can immediately eat another piece of food the next tick. But the second half of the pizza, you have to wait 2 ticks, whereas most food, you have to wait 3 ticks. Now, this is kind of ridiculous, but it decreases your eat delay, but it does not decrease your attack delay. So you still have to wait a full 3 ticks before you can attack. And you also can't combo these things. The Amoxicliatl is the first boss that I would say comes up above that first tier of difficulty. This boss is the first one where my prayer conservation actually began to play a factor. Now it's time to talk about the other type of prayer flicking, which is one tick flicking. In this clip, you see me set up my quick prayers and use the orb to try to turn them off and on within the same 0.6 second game tick, and repeat this as often as possible throughout the rest of the fight. It quickly became apparent that I wasn't going to be able to kill the Amoxicliatl by leaving my prayers on for the entire fight. And it's at this point in the series where I start to realize that this is going to be quite a bit more difficult than I originally thought. I know this kill looks bad. Okay, it's been a long time since I've killed this boss. I forgot you had to back up 2 tiles to get it to move, all that stuff. So my HP, though, is not the problem. Look at how quickly I'm losing my prayer points here. You can get backwards in the cycle of doing the one tick flick, and what happens is the game never registers you actually having the prayers on rather than you never actually turning them off. So you never get the benefit of having the protection. That's what happened to me here. I'm actually going to run out of food here, I think. Alright, alright. Here I am purchasing my best in slot ranged weaponry in the form of a maple shortbow and adamant arrows. This is going to be really important for our next boss. To end this video, I'm going to be taking on the Royal Titans, which is going to use a lot of the strategies we've worked on so far, as well as gear switching. You're going to need all 3 styles to do different things at the Royal Titans. You need magic to clear the flame walls and the ice walls. You need range to hit them when they're not close enough to melee. And you're going to need melee to do your best DPS when they're up close. There's a lot of different elements of this fight, and it goes on for a long time. So I'm going to have to utilize a lot of one-tick flicking. This is not going to be easy. Let's see if this works. Does that work? Wait, if I do this? If the walls spawn underneath you, they do deal damage to your character, but they will leave a gap in the spot where you were standing. Also, you want to keep up Protect from melee this entire fight. The Titans will do melee with their floor slam attack, but also the minions that they spawn do relatively rapid damage to you. It really adds up over time. Okay, you can't react to it, you gotta be proactive. Additionally, after a certain amount of time, the minions will explode and deal damage if you're standing next to them. Reducing either of the Titans' HP to 35% will cause the beginning of the Enrage phase. At this point, both Titans will enter the arena and stand on opposite sides. After a few seconds, they'll charge up a slam attack where they'll hit the ground 3 times with their staves. There will only be one safe tile in the arena to stand on during this point. Tanking all 3 slams could result in taking up to 90 damage. I missed a prayer flick trying to conserve prayer during my first attempt. I got hit at 24 and died. Okay. You gotta admit, that's a little embarrassing. Even this pure didn't want to duo with me. Next time I misclicked and stood in the area where Eldrick was going to end up spawning, and yeah, that was the end of that attempt. I got pretty close the 3rd time, but I really need to get down this 1-tick flicking thing because, as you can see, I'm completely out of prayer points. I even started using a metronome to help me get the rhythm right, but it wasn't consistent every time. Sometimes it was on the click, and sometimes it was in between them, so I was just really struggling with that. Alright, 4th time has to be the charm. I've switched up my gear a little bit, bringing Monk's Robes for the prayer bonus, and I've ditched the staff just for favor of casting the spells manually. And you know what? That's enough for commentary. Cue the music.
Jazz, what are you doing?
I am trying to see how many bosses I can kill using only for things that you can get in free-to-play.
Hell yeah.
Oh, hell.
Hell yeah. Gaming.
Sounds oddly specific.
What video did you watch for this?
I'm gonna make my own.
Oh.
It's awful. It's absolutely terrible. You don't get prayer potions. I did it. I killed the Titans. No, I'm trying to see how many bosses I can kill using only gear you can get in free to play.
Okay.
And yeah, Barrows and Deranged Archaeologists were fine. Titans were hard. I don't.
I feel like you do.
You can do more
Can
Dorvis. I
maybe
feel like
do
you
do-
could.
Well, the